Welcome back to The Online Hustle, the podcast powered by Avast, where you already know this, but we deep dive into the stories, the strategies, and the mindset behind global e-commerce success. Today's guest, as you can see on the screen, is someone who truly embodies the entrepreneurial journey. So, as far as I'm aware, Kevin, you were just starting with £10 and a family challenge, and Kevin and his partner turned a simple idea into a thriving global business that's now transformed how brands handle their fulfillment and operations. He's a #1 best-selling author, a business systemisation strategist, and the founder of Systemise Fulfilment, which is a next-generation fulfillment network with interconnected warehouses across the UK, the USA, and Europe, serving brand owners, e-commerce businesses, and retail supply chains around the world. So, you're from Scunthorpe and leading a vast global international network. Kevin Blackburn has built a business that's not only about speed and systems, but it's also about empowering entrepreneurs to grow sustainably and achieve personal success. So in this episode, the things that I really want to get out of it is just basically unpacking that journey of yours, Kevin, how it started and what it takes to scale without losing that quality or that purpose. And from your perspective, what the future of global e-commerce fulfillment looks like. So just give a bit of it. I know I've kind of covered everything really, but any gaps I've missed, as just fire in, just let me know and let the viewers, let the listeners know what I've not touched on there and what they should know about you before we get into this.
Yeah, thank you so much for a very kind introduction there. It's amazing to have the opportunity to speak with you as well as those that are watching and listening to provide value. So, it's been a pretty wild, crazy decade. We started in 2015. The reason why we started was actually I was an electrical engineer working for the local steel. Unfortunately, the company was going through redundancies and thought to myself, being 24, 25 at that moment in time, where does the future of steel making, where does my career go? And I could not see it being around for the next 40, 50 years. And I'd always wanted to start an online business. I'd always obviously been on the internet and YouTube and Facebook. And I was looking for that one opportunity. It was when I came across online arbitrage, that changed absolutely everything for me. As soon as I discovered that you could buy low, sell high, you could find deals at a local retail store, when I made that first sale, I was absolutely all in. I remember speaking to my now wife, Kylie, and I said, Kylie, our lives have changed forever because this is an opportunity of a lifetime. To cut a very, very long story short, within 6 months, we handed in our notice. Myself and Kylie both quit our jobs at the same time. And then we started working for ourselves. Our home was transformed into our living room warehouse. We then moved into a warehouse in June of 2016. It was a 2,000 square foot warehouse. Continued to build the business, continued to then hire team members. And now we have, I'm actually sat in our 10,000 square foot warehouse in Scunthorpe. It's not very sunny anymore. It's the weather's turning at this moment in time. But no, we have the privilege of working now with brands, entrepreneurs, in the UK, in Europe, in the US. We've now actually, I don't think we've said this to anybody, so you're going to be the first one to know this. We've got a connection now in Australia as well. So we're going to be opening up access to Australia. So yeah, we're on a real mission here and we absolutely love working every day.
Good stuff. Well, I mean, when you were talking about the Scunthorpe thing and steel industry in general, I'm from Sheffield originally, so that's like very close to home. You know, we once had like Tata and Tinsley Wire and places like that. So it's good that you recognise that. I think just the move from like an industry-based manufacturing economy to then what we're in now, where everything's more service-based and like reselling and things like that. So it's good that you noticed that from early on. But one of the things that I mentioned in the intro that I thought was quite interesting that I want to really get into was this whole £10 challenge that we were talking about. So you started with this £10 challenge at home, and we'll get into that in just a sec. But now that you're operating across the UK, the US, Europe, and Australia, as you just mentioned, how do you go from this home office, this kitchen table idea to then operate in a global logistics network in such a short period of time? Like, if that's just a decade, that's so fast to be able to get to that point. What's the secret there?
So first and foremost, I believe in taking massive action every day. This is something that I truly believe in. If you want to achieve true life-changing results, you've got to go out and get it. Nobody's going to go do it for you. So I've really believed in taking massive action, and it's something I've said to myself since day one, because I believe massive action can equal massive success. But just to expand a little bit on the £10 challenge, this came from watching an episode of The Apprentice with Lord Alan Sugar. So with this particular episode, there was two teams, both had £500 each, and basically the team that made the most money would win. And I thought to myself, one of the things I always remember growing up was one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I love that idea of going to like a secondhand store, trying to find a treasure and making it available to someone else. Like, that to me was practical. To me, it was hands-on. So I ended up actually going to a local store called Sue Ryder, which is a secondhand store here in the UK. And I found these little porcelain birds. Now, I have no idea, I'm not a bird collector, but these particular birds, it would appear that they were more for like collectors, because the quality was amazing. It had a date stamp, signature, and I thought to myself, there'll be someone somewhere in country that is looking for these birds, and they're only like 75 pence each. So I put them on sale for eBay for about £12, £13, £15, and then over those next couple of days, that £10 they turned into about 60, 70, £80. And that proved the concept to me that I could buy low and buy a product, make it available online on a marketplace, whether that was eBay or later on it was then Amazon, and you could make a profit in the difference. And that was the real, an actual result that proved it to me, because I was at work at the time, and I remember my phone making the cha-ching, like, actually just made money while I'm at work. And that was, as soon as I experienced that, there was absolutely no going back then, because I thought to myself, if it's possible to sell, £10 or a couple of birds, then now it's possible to sell like hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands. Does this make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that then, what's the first moment when you realize that, this is not just, what was the first moment where you realize that there's actually a business here, that it's not just like, I'm going to go back to Sue Ryder and see what the next thing is. Maybe it's porcelain plates, maybe it's some boutique vintage designer shoes, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. What were the first things that you encountered where you decided, oh, shoot, this is not just a side hustle anymore. This is like something that I can potentially bury a lot of time in, but then also, like you said, reap the rewards of that?
Yeah, it was actually really studying and understanding the supply chain. So up until that point, like I said, it was very much like it was a secondhand store, but that was not. There was no chance that I was just going to find different porcelain birds or porcelain plates or something. That's not going to be scalable. But then when I really started to study the supply chain in terms of, retailers and then wholesalers and, distribute and manufacturers, I realized that you can really professionalize this business if you know what the supply chain is, if you know what supply and demand is, if you know that it's not guessing. If you could do research, you've got data, you can see if a product on Amazon has got historic sales and the price. So now, from an engineering background, it wasn't like I was just gambling, right? It was actually decision-making based off data. And that was really, really powerful.
So, and then now when you're moving into where you are today and how you've got to that point, I know obviously you run this whole building through partnerships sort of idea. So the expansion model that you've got is including like partnering with people through this licensee program that you run. So it just seems a bit, it's not the most common way of going about it, is what I'm trying to get at. So why did you choose to use like a licensee program and this referrals rather than, I mean, it's a more collaborative approach, isn't it? Rather than this sort of like traditional expansion approach. So what made you go down this more collaborative route?
A couple of reasons, actually. Number one, I started my YouTube channel in 2016, and I've always believed in collaboration. I've always believed in meeting other like-minded people, business owners that are going on the journey. I find really, really power in like sharing and learning together, because there's two ways of learning. You can learn from your own failures, or you can learn from other people's. And if you're in a mastermind and you build relationships and networking, you can really build great friendship. So I started joining communities. I started reaching out to people that are on the same journey. And I met, because we had our own warehouses, I met incredible business owners that also have warehouses. So it was very relatable, like how you setting up your inbound, your outbound, your processing, your logistics. And from that, we always wanted to expand our network fulfillment warehouses. And like you said, there's two ways of doing this. The traditional route, where I could go over to the US and find a warehouse and take a lease. And, you know, that's some significant amount of capital expenditure that's required to set things up, and, you know, the team and hire staff. And so it was actually... The first licensee was actually from my brother-in-law, Gareth. And he also started his journey because he had a warehouse about 20 minutes away from here. And because he had a warehouse, we had a warehouse, we started brainstorming like, how can we make this work? You becoming a part of Systemise Fulfilment, where we share with you our processes, our systems, and therefore, when we're looking after our great clients and brands, you could do the same, a part of the mission. So we proved that to be, you know, successful. We were working with Gareth, and it just went from there. Actually, it was we proved the model, which we then were able to essentially replicate for other warehouses around the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned about the culture that you operate as well, because honestly, at Vask, the guy who actually introduced us to you was Mark, and he mentioned that during his time as a seller, that your headquarters team were even supporting him like outside of office hours as well. So during the setup and the process that he was going through. So it's just interesting, like the fact that you've sort of embedded that culture into your company from the outset, and you're still championing that today. So how do you kind of build that culture where people, your staff members, your colleagues care enough to go above and beyond? Because, you know, people can just go to work to get an easy paycheck, but for them to actually give us stuff about somebody's business and the people that they are working on behalf of, that's, you know, that's quite interesting. But again, not every company within this space operates under that mentality.
Yeah, it's such a critical part of building your business. I've always believed that you know, building a culture, building a team, you know, the superstars in your business, the mission that you go on with, it's a collective. There is no way you can do it all yourself. It's just impossible, actually, to do it all yourself. So it was all based around the fundamental principle that if we are going to provide a fantastic service and an amazing partnership with our clients, it has to truly be a win-win, right? And we win if our clients are able to continue to grow, right? If their business grows year on year, then we are going to naturally be a byproduct of us growing year on year. And then we discovered, and I just knew that warehousing and fulfillment and order fulfillment or shipping to Amazon's fulfillment centers, that is a very critical part of the success of a business, but it's not the fundamental factor, right? There's many components to an e-commerce business. There's the sourcing, there's relationships with suppliers, there's accounting, right? There's HR, there's so many different functions within a business. And I always believed in, okay, we specialize in fulfillment and order fulfillment and warehousing, but I always wanted to share. So on my YouTube channel over the last 10 years, we've now got over 1,500 videos, for example. And it's videos on team building, systems, sourcing, building relationships. It's everything around fundamentally helping our clients be successful. And our team and our leadership team, our staff members, our entire team, whether it is warehouse work, whether it is business development, whether it's our finance team, we all fundamentally built on, we know how important it is to provide great service, not just in the warehouse, but and be there to answer questions, to point in the right direction, to maybe point towards a VASC, right? We started to point to people towards a VASC because you guys specialize in what you guys do. So
Yeah, right.
I think everybody wins when you've got that philosophy.
Well, it's one of those like common things where, people say your net worth is your network, or your network is your net worth. And it does sound a bit cheesy, right? You hear it all the time. But, it's one of those things where you don't know who your potential clients know. And word of mouth is obviously the best way of spreading information, of spreading referrals to companies and vice versa. So it's just about like maintaining the best possible relationship that you've got with your clients, making sure that they trust you, because then if they're having a conversation over a pint with their mate in the pub who maybe also owns another business, and they're saying, oh, I'm having a real issue with VAT or tax compliance, and then you go, oh, well, I'll work with a VASC, and they do that. And similarly, oh, I need some help with, moving my business into another country. I don't know how to expand overseas. I don't know who to go to for logistics or fulfillment. Then, if you've had a good conversation with somebody like yourselves, then naturally that's just going to come to your lips without you even really thinking about it. So it's all about maintaining those relationships, not just for now, but going forward as well. So it's good that you think that way as well. Because like I say, I think there's some companies that just look at stuff like a quick check and, all right, they've paid, move on. But maintaining and fostering that relationship over time is absolutely paramount if you want to get continued results off into the future as well.
100%. You've got to think long term, and relationships is a part of that, right? Long term. What you never want to do, and this is something that we've got really, really strict principles and core values, right? The values that you build your business on. Fundamentally, recommendations. If you was to recommend anybody, you've got to. You're putting your name, your trust in somebody's trusting you to recommend something. And if you just think it's going to be a quick transaction, if you just think, oh, you're going to make some referral commission, and you're making that decision based on your own financial income, that's a big, big mistake. What you want to think about always is the person that you're talking to. And if you can get the bigger picture, because that will come round tenfold. If you are able to come from a position of you've got this problem or you've got this challenge that you're facing, I know based on my own experience that these are the people that you need to work with because they can help you based on reputation, meeting them, seeing the results that they've had. You've built a relationship with them. That person that then gets that result and achieves the solution to the problem, they're going to associate that recommendation to you as well. And they're going to trust you for it. And that compounds over years. Like literally, I have people speak to me now that they'll reach out to me and say, I've been following you online since 2017. It's been 8 years and I'm now in a position that I want to work with you, or I'm now starting my business, whatever the case might be. And I've built trust over those years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've sort of been, for want of a better word, you've kind of been the messiah in this space, and they've been following you in the background, and then they go, you know what, now's the time. And again, that shows that you've built that trust, because they're then coming to you. They've been looking at you in the background as somebody who's just gathering information, and maybe you've not actually been selling anything to them at that point. But then when they are ready, the only person that they've got in their mind is you, because they've been watching you and they've been, receiving that information from you in an online format where they can watch it any time of day, whenever they want. If they're in the gym, if they're at home, if they're in the sauna, whatever they're doing, they are clearly just receiving that information in the background, and then they've gone, right, Kev's the person that I need to speak to in this case, and then they reach out. So as you say, it's just good that you've built yourself up as like a thought leader, within the industry as well. I think it's a good way of doing things. But on that point, obviously, because you are pretty visible online and you've got, the YouTube, the website, things like that. Before we got on here today, I was having to read through some of the different stuff that you put up, and there was something that says unique processing stream systems. Now, talk to me as a layman. I don't really know what that means. Can you break it down for me? What's behind the process? How does it help sellers maintain speed, quality, and transparency as they grow? Like, can you just break that down for me? Because I genuinely don't understand what that means.
Yeah, so in real simple terms, so when it comes to shipping to Amazon's fulfillment centers, fundamentally in the warehouse, if you think about in the warehouse, you've got inbound, outbound, and then you've got the internal of the warehouse, which is the processing. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. And our responsibility and our requirement is to be able to get products in and out the warehouse as quickly as possible without quality control being impacted, right? So the unique processing streams, that was designed, and we actually became Innovation of the Year finalist for a local awards for the system that we've built. Essentially what it is if you imagine conveyor belts, where you've got essentially product can go from one side of the conveyor belt to the other. Now, as aren't electronic conveyor belts, these are our unique processing streams. So essentially what happens is it starts without, at the beginning, we go from all different products require different preparation, whether it's labeling, whether it's bundling, whether it's polybagging, whether it's, there's various different requirements required for the products. So we start the streams with all the shipments that are going to be shipped off to Amazon, and we've got requirements on that prep. So everything will need labeling, some might need polybagging, some might need bubble wrapping. And the streams are essentially our team processing everything from start to finish. So
Okay.
by the time it actually goes into boxes, on pallets, we can rest assured that everything that is leaving our operation is as it should be. And everything's under CCTV. So we have full history, 1080p cameras that are recording all our polybagging, our labeling, our bundling. So if Amazon, for example, was to say that something wasn't prepared correctly, we've got the timestamp, we've got the date stamp, we've got the CCTV evidence to prove that it actually was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you've got the receipts. You know exactly what's happened at every point, every touch point during that process.
Exactly.
Okay. And now that you've expanded that, obviously, beyond just the UK, and as you mentioned earlier, EU, US, Australia now, what is it like for you, knowing that you've created jobs and opportunities in multiple regions like those that I just mentioned, and how important is it to you that your growth story is not only like a testament to how well you've done, but something that other potential sellers, potential logistics partners within the industry can also look at, and maybe they can use that as a reference point, something that will also uplift them and something that will also uplift local communities. How do you see yourself, and how do you see your story? Do you think that it's a path that other people can potentially follow?
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of the work that we've done together with our team here, as well as our team in different locations. I've always believed that we can all win together. This opportunity that we are, this period of time that we're living through, you know, the internet age, obviously social media, now artificial intelligence, we're living in an incredible time in history. And I actually believe in 100 years' time, 200 years' time, when future people look back in this era, they'll think back and go like, there's a lot of challenges in the world, and I think we all appreciate that there's challenges in the world, but there is also a huge opportunity as well. And it's a transformational time. So for me to be able to I really believe that we can all win together, forming partnerships, and then in local areas, whether that is to be able to, open up career opportunities that people can work for and grow in a career, or even like local charities that we've supported and local causes that we've supported. You know, that means a lot to me, and it means a lot to us, because we want to be a company that is making a difference. You know, making a difference to our clients' lives, of course, but also our team's lives, and then the communities around us.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's funny you're talking about 100 years' time and 200 years' time. And just with the way that AI is going at the moment, you might not even be having humans in these future warehouses as well. Everything might just be Tesla bots that then you've got humans who are doing the servicing on them instead. I don't think we can really appreciate where it's going to go at the moment. It's like the Industrial Revolution Mark II. Like the way that everything's changing at the moment, it's so fast that even 5 years ago, if you would have said what artificial intelligence could do, you'd be mind blown at it. You'd be like, what? No way. Nobody's going to use therapy anymore because you can just access it. No way is people going to stop using like video producers because you can now just create things from Sora. No way are people just going to be able to shop directly through ChatGPT. All of these things have changed everything massively. So the way that you set yourself up now, I feel as though people rely so much on interhuman connection, because there is so much of it now that is just artificial intelligence. You can read into it a little bit. You can tell what is artificial and what is human, that if you've got that human touch, and people know that if they pick the phone up, they're speaking to somebody local, they're speaking to somebody who's actually got knowledge, and they're not just reading all of their information directly off AI. You've got that human touch. That is, again, what creates long-lasting relationships with people now, because they believe you. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. Fundamentally, when it comes to relationships, there's two people, right? You are building a relationship with another person, and that other person we all have hopes, dreams, desires. We all have struggles, pains, things that we want to overcome. And in a very crowded world online, where there's so much information, there's so much surface level relationships, very transactional based in many, we've got advertisements coming our way, etc. It goes a real long way when you can actually just connect with somebody just on a deeper level, like just learning a little bit about like where they come from, like where they want to go. And many times, and I remember one of the fundamental reasons on why I got started myself in the first place was a real reason for me was I could not take my son to school because I was at work, and I was not able to go to like watch him on his plays at school. And at the time I had my daughter, and one of the desire for me was I just wanted to take my daughter to school. So this wasn't about like, I want to make millions of pounds and I want to be able to do this and I want to do that. To me, it was a real reason that I just wanted to be able to take my daughter to school and go pick her up from school. And when you're speaking to other people and you start to kind of go down layers and like, why are you getting started? You'll find that the reasons why people are getting started is for just like real human reasons. They want to spend more time with their kids. They want to spend more time with their loved ones. They want to be able to travel the world. Maybe they've never been able to travel the world or go sightseeing before. These are just real human reasons for why people get that. And if you just build a relationship from just a human level, then you can build some really good connections with people and good friendships.
Yeah, 100%. So now that you have got to where you are, and how many warehouses do you have at the moment?
So we've 4 in the UK, one in Poland with Maggie. I think you know Maggie. She's Maggie and Adrian. They're wonderful. And 3 in the US, and we're 1 in Australia, which we've just started in Sydney, Australia.
So 9?
Yes.
Yeah, 9. So opening 9 warehouses in how long? 2 years? 4 years?
It's actually been over the course of about 6-7 years. Okay. It was sort of 2017 time, 17-18 time when we opened the first one with my brother-in-law Gareth, who's now our director of our business development.
Okay, so 9 warehouses, 7 years. So what were the biggest challenges for you that you had to overcome in order to reach that growth? And what did that teach you about growing sustainably? Because, as I say, for such a short period of time, that's a lot to take on. So how did you manage it? And how did you manage it while still being able... Because there's been a lot of people who have this really rapid growth. They start here and then poof, they get to there. But then because of it being such a large growth, they can't sustainably manage it because they've taken on such a huge workload in such a short period of time. So how did you manage to get around that and make sure that you could sort of, just gradually get to the point where you are now without burning out?
So one of the fundamental principles is we believe in systems and processes, right? So we call Systemise Fulfilment because from my engineering background, I was an electrical engineer, and working in big industry, I always believed in processes and systems. And in order to, I always try to give the analogy of somebody like a Jeff Bezos, right? So he's built Amazon, and the team have built Amazon over sort of a number of decades. They've got 1 million employees. It's physically impossible for Jeff to have managed individually 1 million people, right? There's just no way. So the only way all that can be done is fundamentally believing in systems and processes. Because if you believe that, we don't manage people, we manage systems, and systems is what manages people and keeps everybody working in the right way. So in order to do what we've done is we fundamentally believe in our leadership team, our licensee holders, being able to work with them, and then they obviously work with their teams. It's all fundamentally based on systems that can scale. It's like how you do one thing. Is it possible to do that one thing 1,000 times? If it's not possible, then we need to simplify the system even more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so it's about keeping things simple. It's about believing in systems. It's about training. It's about automation. It's fundamentally about working in being from a collaborative point of view, that how we manage our inbound is the same everywhere. How we manage our inbound, how we pick shipment is the same everywhere. The way we pick shipments. So we try to simplify and standardize. That's the best thing I could say there.
Yeah, 100%. So with that, then the fact that you're talking about automation and making sure that you've got processes in place, I'm imagining that you're probably that you're probably hiring a lot of software engineers, tech specialists, people of this nature. So with that in mind, how does technology fit into your long-term vision for fulfillment and logistics? And how do you intend on scaling even more going forward?
Technology is critical, 100% critical. So, for example, from an order fulfillment from a direct to consumer, we work with brands that have their own Shopify store. They might be selling on eBay. They might be selling on Amazon, whether that is fulfilled by Amazon or fulfilled by merchant, or many different other platforms that are available, TikTok, etc. So the only way that we can manage that is through technology. So we use a software that can do all the order fulfillment. So all the orders coming into our warehouse teams. From a streams and a processing perspective, absolutely as well. Like, one of the things that I'm really fascinated in right now is artificial intelligence vibe coding. Have you heard of vibe coding?
Now, give us, again, we'll go layman's terms, break it down to me like I'm 5 years old.
Okay, so layman's terms, you know ChatGPT, right? You can ask ChatGPT. Now imagine like ChatGPT, natural language, but you're using an AI coding platform where you can say, just like you would to ChatGPT, but you could say something in natural language like, build me a dashboard that shares all my key performance indicators. And now artificial intelligence will actually do the coding, the software coding for you to build out the software, the apps, whatever you want to build. So that's what's called AI vibe coding, which is, to me, it feels a little bit like magic, because you're asking a platform to build you a dashboard or an API integration to DHL or to Google Sheet. And I don't need to know any coding skills. I don't need to be a software engineer. I don't need to have any technical background. You just need to have a vision and say it in natural language, and now it will build on your behalf. Does that make sense? Incredible technology. That's what we're heavily focused on right now, because there's so many functions, part of all our businesses, whether it is, administration, whether it's HR, whether it's finances, whether it's operations, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales. There's so many functions that can be, you can essentially design your own software with AI vibe coding that you can, so many of us are using different tools and services, right? We're spending $75 on this call scheduling tool. We're spending $80 on this other software. Now with AI vibe coding, you can literally develop your own, and you don't have to use a third party. Does that make sense?
So maybe my previous question about you hiring all these tech specialists and these coders and software engineers, maybe you don't need any of them at all. Maybe you just need a man in a room with a laptop and a vision. And that would satisfy all of those needs, maybe.
It's mind-blowing. It truly is. And I actually think one of my big recommendations to those that are watching, check out AI vibe coding, because it's a power of a technology that's not been available. I wish it was available like when I started in 2015.
When you started.
Absolutely. Because, historically it would cost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds for software engineers and developers, agencies, etc. Now you can develop it with an internet connection, your own laptop, and a vision.
All right. So if somebody was just starting out, so again, maybe we've got listeners on here who, just like I mentioned earlier, maybe they're doing a bit of research, maybe they're doing a bit of background digging and trying to figure out what they should get involved with, how they should do it. Somebody who's just starting out, maybe they've got their own version of that £10 challenge that you were talking about. What's the one piece of advice that you give about turning this grand vision, this hustler's ambition that they've got, to quote 50 Cent, what should they do to turn that hustler's ambition into something sustainable?
It's a great question. There's many different sort of avenues I could go down. I think first and foremost, a real strong belief that I have, and something that helped me, was just know that this is a marathon and not a sprint. What that means is there is a lot of success references online. Wherever you go online, you see this person's done this and that person's done that, and look at how amazing this person's success is. And we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different starting positions. Some people may have a lot of time. Some people might not have a lot of time. Some people might have a lot of capital. Some people might not have a lot of capital. So I think the first thing that I always say is, like, you are running your own race, right? And I've always believed in just take one step every day. If you just take one step forward every day, you'll be amazed what can happen in a, 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time. That's 1,000 steps forward that you will have taken if you're just consistent. And that, from a personal point of view, I think is important, because it all starts with your mindset, the belief that it is possible. But then from a business perspective, from a practical reality perspective, I think it's important to choose what business model that you want to focus on, because there's many different business models, right? Whether that is online arbitrage or wholesale or building your own brand, or you want to launch in the US or you want to launch in Europe. There's so many different things. Pick one and commit to that and work hard every day to make progress on. And if you can learn from others and walk the path that somebody specifically is maybe sharing a bit of advice, and, step 1 and step 2 and step 3, I think it's important, because in your business, you will go through hard times and difficulty. And it's in the hard times, you don't want to get shiny object syndrome, where you go, okay, this ain't working, I'm going to try this. And then you start all over again. You don't want to just work hard for a month and then you go, it's got a little bit difficult, I'm going to start again, but I'm going to start something else, because you never actually progress. You've started all these side projects at once. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And I think even more so now, with the fact that everybody's got access to social media, and the fact that you go on there and you only ever see the greatest moments of somebody's life. You only ever see people's best successes, because it's a highlight reel of what everybody's achieved. But you never see those ugly parts. You never see those bits where they're going, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford my mortgage this month. How am I going to get out of this rut? You only ever see people going, I'm in Miami, I've got a Lamborghini. But you don't see any of the struggle that came about when they were getting to that point. So I think it's interesting that you were talking about, you don't know where everybody started from, and the commitment to, taking one step at a time. I always liken it to, you could put me next to the Empire State Building. There's no way that I could jump from the ground up to the top of the Empire State Building. I could walk inside it and take every single step, and I would eventually get up there. Do you know what I mean? So it's, people always see the highlights, the glamorous bits, but they never see the grit and the determination, the not giving up mentality that you have to implement, that you have to champion in yourself to be able to get to that eventual endpoint that everybody wants to get to. So yeah, it's good that you keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, 100%. Your energy is critical. It's critically important to conserve your energy. That's why I said that it's a marathon, not a sprint. After over 10 years in building our business now, it all comes from the ability to harness energy over a prolonged period of time. And that comes from, the reasons why you get started in the first place, right? The reasons why you want to do what you want to do, whether it's for family reasons, freedom reasons, you're fed up of not having enough money at the end of the month, or whatever the case might be. Use whatever reason that you've got, and I call it my massive action ecosystem, right? So it's the best way I can describe that is, imagine a polar bear in the North Pole. Imagine that is an apex predator that has been refined in that ecosystem. But if you put that polar bear in the Sahara Desert, it's not going to survive because it's not its environment, right? So think about that in your own life. Like, what do you need to do in your environment to give yourself energy every day, reminders every day? So I've done everything from whether it is my phone screensavers to my laptop screensavers. I've got my hoodies, like this is obviously my Systemised jacket, but I've got my Take Massive Action Every Day hoodies. I've got like little figures of Leonidas from Sparta 300. You know, everywhere is just visual reminders of like energy, 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 why we're doing this, what we're doing this for. And it's amazing on how much energy your environment can give you. So you've got to be proactive on setting up your workstation, your environment to give you energy as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose with that as well, we always end with the same question. And the same question is, if you started again today, what would you do differently? Now, to expand on that a little bit, let's say you've got a time machine, you pop back to 2016, you've got all the benefit of hindsight, but you had to start again this weekend. What steps would you take to eventually get to where you are now, or potentially even further than that? What would be the first thing that you would do?
Great. Amazing question. Amazing. Do you know what? There's something that I had another conversation a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, imagine if you lost everything overnight, as in like you wake up the next morning and you've lost everything. Like, what would you do? And I gave it a little bit of thought, and here's a couple of things that I would do right away. Number one, I'm a father and I'm a husband. And I've got responsibilities as a father and husband. So if I truly actually had to start all over again and I needed income straight away, I would, and this might sound a bit odd, I would look to get a job to begin with, because that's going to give me income, right? I'd actually just go get a job and I'd go get an employment, so I'd be able to earn some income. And then what I would do is I would do exactly as I just did then. I would spend all my other hours, whether that is lunch times, early mornings, late at nights, because this is exactly what I did. I would then spend those times building my side business again. So for me, I truly believe in the e-commerce industry. I would choose the e-commerce industry again. I think there's lots of things that are changed on Amazon, like the platform has just changed. I would still do e-commerce for sure. I would most likely go straight into wholesale at this point and start to build wholesale connections and relationships with wholesalers. Knowing what I know now, we love working with brands and exclusive brand deals. So working with brands exclusively to help them launch onto the Amazon marketplace or expand into the different marketplaces. That's essentially what I would do, in all honesty.
You still go down the same path. You wouldn't become a seller yourself. You wouldn't carry on down that route. You wouldn't be in Sue Rider picking up different porcelain birds. It's not sustainable. You'd go into logistics once again, but wholesale on the side.
Yes, wholesale and exclusive brand deals. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would start my YouTube channel again. Networking is so critically important because you learn from one another, you share with one another, but you're also introduced to other people that can maybe present an opportunity to you as well. So I've met so many amazing people that I've ended up speaking at different events because of the relationships that I've built. So I would definitely join communities and masterminds and go to events. In-person events are so powerful.
You know what's really lovely about what you just said as well, though? The fact that I've just given you the opportunity to go back in time 9 years and you would do exactly the same thing as what you've done. Now, that probably says something a little bit more deep about yourself, that you're just very happy in yourself with what you've done and you're very proud of what you've done. You know, if you speak to some people and you say, what would you do differently? And they would change loads. Maybe that's saying something a little bit about themselves. Maybe they're not entirely fulfilled in what they are doing. But the fact that you've said, I'd do everything the same. I would just keep family first and that's it. It just shows that you're very content and happy in what you have become. So that's commendable. Do you know what I mean?
I appreciate that. I mean, we love everything that we do, right? This is a mission. This is a mission that we're on, and I still feel like we're at the start of that mission, and we've still got so many things that we want to achieve. And I'm not one of those. I thought really long and hard when we first started in 2015, right? It wasn't just like this is an opportunity to make money. It was an opportunity to make money, but I genuinely, absolutely love what we do. So when you've got that combination of you actually enjoy what you do and you can make money, then it doesn't feel like work. So that's why I would go back and do everything again.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Well, let's wrap it up there. But before we go, Kev, well, obviously, thank you for coming on, first things first. But anybody who is interested, where can they find you? What questions should they ask to you if they do get in contact with you? And yeah, open floor. What should people be asking Kev Blackburn when they approach you?
Well, you can reach out to us at Systemise Fulfilment, and we've got our systemisefulfillment.co.uk website. If you are in need of anything to do with warehousing, logistics, storage, prep, subscription boxes, anything to do with warehouses, then reach out to us. You can speak to one of our team. We're completely risk-free, like free quotes. We're just here to help. If we can help you, then there's no obligation. So a lot of the things that somebody might ask was like, for example, if they want to expand into the US or they want to go to the EU, they want to know what the warehouse operation that we actually have. What does storage look like? What does the pick and pack look like? So if you want to talk about your fulfillment area of your business, then reach out to us. More than happy to help. In general, if you want to learn more about me and many of the topics that I've spoken about in history, then you can search for me on like YouTube. For just put Kev Blackburn in. You'll find my YouTube channel. We've got literally about 9 years worth of documented history, vlogs around the warehouse, the tours around the warehouse, events that we've done, and then I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can.
I'm sure we'll drop the link in the description as well, just so that if anybody doesn't know how to spell that or anything, then they can easily access it just down below as well. So we'll make a nice little link so that people can reach you there as well. But listen, let's wrap it up there. Kevin, honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your insights. And thanks for helping take all of our listeners to the next level as well. So if there's any other closing comments that you want to leave them. Not much park it there.
I just want to say thank you so much for the invitation. I hope those that have watched, it's proved to be valuable. Wishing you all the best. As I always say to everybody, keep taking massive action, and hopefully I have the opportunity of maybe seeing you online or at an event one day in the future.
We'll have some of the online hustle events as well popping up soon, so I'm sure we'll extend an invite for you to those as well. So yeah, lovely to meet you in person as well too.
Amazing. Thank you.
Pleasure. All the best.